I don't think positive change is not to wait someone to save you. Positive change, I think that everyone becomes, responsible for himself and what he can do best in his day to make easier his life and the other's life.
It took a long, long time.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Yellow Van Stories. Thanks for joining us once again. I'm your host and driver, Bastian. We have been waiting just for you and kept you a seat by the window side. Feel free to order any imaginary beverage that strikes your fancy. Fonzie's in first gear already, and we are good to go. So buckle up and get comfortable, because today we're going to Greece. Today with me in the yellow van is the visual artist and curator, I think I can say as well, Olga Stefatou from Greece. And I'm very happy to have her here. Hi, Olga.
Hello, Bastian. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for this invitation.
Thank you so much for coming and joining me, because basically you really don't know what you're getting yourself into. Not even one single episode has been published. And nonetheless, you said ahead of recording that you trust me. I mean, that's quite amazing, to be honest with you.
Yes, it's true. I trust you.
So thank you very much for that. So what we're basically doing, I will tell you right away. So the most important question is always, the first question of any interview is, what drink did you pour yourself today?
Sorry, what?
What drink did you pour yourself for the interview?
Masticha.
Ooh, you have to explain to everybody what Masticha is. I know what Masticha is, kind of. Yes, so you have to explain what that is.
So Masticha is a Greek traditional, a kind of liqueur. Yeah, it's not easy to explain. I think it's a drink. It's a fantastic drink. When I was in Qatar, I was missing so much Masticha because they didn't sell it there.
You couldn't get it? Not even at the airport or something?
No, it was impossible.
So you had to get your stash from Greece and import it yourself, pretty much.
I had to wait and dream of Masticha. So Masticha is made of a very specific tree, which exists only at Chios Island in Greece. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if in Palestine they also have some kind of the same trees. But yes, definitely in Greece it's only on Chios Island. And they produce different kind of products from that tree. And one of those is Masticha.
Very nice. And it's a very it's a sweet kind of flavor, right?
Yes, it's sweet. It's sweet. You can combine it with other, for example, now I did Masticha with some mint inside because I wanted to have it soft. It's strong. It's not so soft. And in Greece, we usually have a shot after dinner because it's good for digestion.
Isn't that what they say about all the drinks that have a high alcohol level and you drink after dinner? Yeah. It's like just a perfect excuse to drink.
Yes,
really,
it's a perfect excuse, right? Yes. So that's
not that I have a problem with that. I mean, I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
Are you having it with water or just really straight up with a bit of mint?
Just with a little bit of mint, a little bit of water and ice, because I want to have it, as I said, light. But you can make incredible cocktails with Masticha.
I know. Very nice drinks. I've had very nice drinks with Masticha. It's actually something I miss as well. I can totally relate to that.
Yes.
And because of that, and because we are on the Greek topic, I also try and choose my drinks according to who I talk to and where they're from. So I just poured myself an Ouzo straight up on ice with water. That's what I thought would be something good to drink because it brings brings back all the Greek memories that I have, all the beautiful memories that I have of
Yes, I
Greece.
understand. I mean,
Even though I have to say I took the Plomari Ouzo, I didn't have a Babadzim or something like that. So it's, but I mean, it's better than no Ouzo. I mean, at least that.
yeah. I mean,
So,
personally,
yeah.
I don't drink much, but now that I'm back to Greece and it's easier to find alcohol, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy. Yeah, now that I was in Cephalonia a few days ago, I was in a little port and I had an ouzo just myself reading my book. It was so fantastic.
What are you reading? What are you reading right now?
So I'm reading a book which is amazing, and it's called Nostalgia by a French author, Barbara Cassin. So I don't know if the pronunciation is probably wrong of your name.
I don't know either. My French is not exceptionally good.
Nostalgia by Barbara Cassin.
All right.
And it's very philosophical book. And talks about meanings such as what is home and what feels like home and what is nostalgia, the Greek word nostalgia. Where does it come from? And all those meanings around nostalgia and home.
All right.
And, it's very, very interesting. I recommend it to everybody, this book.
It's also, if I look at this book and you're talking about nostalgia and home, it's actually something that I feel really connects with your work as well, because I feel that this is very much part of a lot of the work that you do. It has to do with home. It has to do with identity. So I think it makes perfect sense in that way as well.
Exactly. And this is the reason also that I started reading this book because of my projects. And but yeah, I was really surprised. It's an amazing book. It's a difficult book, to understand, especially the second and the third chapter. It has very complex thoughts on philosophical thoughts, but it really was, and I think that everybody finds something in this book, and especially people like photographers, people who travel a lot, people who are looking for another home. Yes, people who work with refugees, or for refugees that they find a new home and new language. What is a new language, in relation to their new home, or if they were born in another country, not in their motherland, let's say, country. So, yeah, I find it very interesting.
Very nice. I will definitely link to it so that people can find it and can check it out for themselves if they want to. Now, before we really dive deep, I would like to know where are you right now? Like your direct environment, like country and place.
So now I'm in Greece, Athens. I live in Athens. My home is at Nea Smyrni area. It's between the center of Athens and south of the city. Yes, that's it. And I'm here.
All right.
To Greece in the beginning of March, exactly 1 week before the lockdown here.
Oh.
Yes, it was not an easy
transition because you were in Qatar before, right?
Yes.
So you got there just in the nick of time, basically.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I consider myself quite lucky for spending the lockdown in Athens rather than in Doha. Yes, it was a good moment.
Yes, I'm sure.
So when you move back to a place, it takes some time again to adjust, to find your steps again, to establish a new reality. So it's not easy because of the whole thing of the COVID, but I guess that everybody in this planet has similar issues. Yeah.
This I think is the thing about this corona crisis is that, it is something that the planet shares right now. I mean, the truth is we have shared many things for a lot of time. The climate change is something we all share. It's just something that we try to try to turn a blind eye to a large degree. But with this, we can't, right? We cannot turn a blind eye because it is a lot more concrete. So I think that there's, something positive in that, and obviously something negative. And I think in some past conversations with other people, even though I see it also as a chance and an opportunity, like I think it is always a good idea to see a crisis but it also makes just things appear more than they have before. Also the differences. So not everything is equal in this, but people that have been, socially weak, that's a terrible word actually, but who have been, like the poorer in the world, they suffer from this a lot more than the people, that have more, of course. And this is like it is with most crises. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has been affected by this, by the pandemic, but of course, some people have been affected more than others.
Exactly. And I think that's something good to keep in mind, when we talk about it. Also, I have to remind myself of that the life realities in this are so different for everybody. And it's a lot easier for me to deal with the consequences of it, like, to have quarantine and something. If you live in an apartment with a garden, maybe, than if you have nothing like that. So it's very different life realities connected to that. Even though we think we share the same kind of crisis, we do to some degree, but to another degree, we don't at all. I think it's something entirely different.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So just, would you describe your environment? Where are you right now? Which room of the house? Where are you sitting?
I am at the office.
Very good choice.
Yes, one room is dedicated as an office. Mm-hmm. And it's good because it looks at the balcony, at my balcony, which is a really big balcony. I'm very lucky having a big balcony.
Nice. I'm a little envious, just a little bit. So what do you see from your balcony? Do you see, do you have a good view from there?
From this balcony, not really. The front balcony has a good view. It looks at the sea. I mean, it's far away, but you can see the sea. And the West Mountains of Athens. But now this balcony I'm very close to, it's just buildings around. And since I'm back, I'm starting gardening. So I have some new plants, but they're still
nice.
They're still very small, but I'm happy just to see them growing step by step.
That's wonderful, though. I mean, Vicky, my girlfriend, who you know very well also. I mean, we have this beautiful, rooftop with a lot of flowers and plants. And it's just wonderful to just step up there and just be surrounded by all this green in Athens, which is not necessarily a green city, so it's like this little oasis. So I imagine that to be similar.
Cool. Yeah, that's why I feel very happy having that.
Yes, of course. I can understand that. And seeing the sea, even though it is from a distance, it's also from our rooftop. We could see the Acropolis. I mean, it is so far away that you really, really have to know it's there. But still, it's nice to know that that it's there and you can see it. It feels good.
Yes.
So, yeah. What is your favorite thing in that room where you're right now? If you had to pick anything, what is your favorite thing there?
In that room, I really like a very old doll, which is an African little guy. And it was my mother's. It used to be my mother's. Mm-hmm. And when I was a child, I was fascinated about this little doll because, I was dreaming that one day I will go to Africa.
Nice. Have you been to Africa?
Yes, I've been.
Of course.
I've been. But then here I have all my cameras, which I really love them.
I know. I can relate to that. Totally.
I think that's it. My cameras, which are my favorite, and this doll.
Nice.
The little guy.
And what's your favorite camera? So I have to ask, from a really a photographer's and probably a little nerdy point of view, what's your favorite camera of the cameras there?
I mean, now I'm using a Sony.
All right.
I'm very, very satisfied with Sony.
Which one?
A7R2.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Nice I love Leica. I used to have a Leica. I still have a manual Leica, and the
Which one?
M7.
Oh, nice. Very
Yes,
nice.
and
Very nice.
I started using it again this year. No, last year. Sorry. For a couple of years, I didn't use it much. But yes, last year I decided to use it again, and sometimes, take time and photograph without worrying to see the photographs immediately. And I really enjoy Leica. So these are my cameras. Sometimes I use the Leica lens on the Sony, which I really like the result. It's not for being fast, of course, but if
It's
you,
a manual lens, right? It doesn't have
if you
autofocus.
work on a slow rhythm for a project, it's fine. Or if you do street photography, it also works well. And I really like the result. I have one Mamiya 645.
Oh, nice. That's also a beautiful camera.
Yes, it's a beautiful camera. Actually, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to a very, very good friend of mine. But I have this camera for more than 10 years.
It's a long loan. It's a very long loan.
So I consider it as it's mine.
If your friend is listening, she doesn't really mean that. I mean, it's just like, right, yeah.
When we listen to the podcast, we will laugh. But that's the truth, and I'm very thankful for this because I have done many projects with that camera.
Nice.
I love all those three cameras a lot. And the last year I work also with for a Polaroid Insta. I mean, it's Fuji. It's not the real Polaroid. And I did a small project in Doha with this. And I really like that instant feeling and the paper feeling that you have immediately. You just take a photograph and you have it. You don't have to scan it. No, you have to scan later, but you don't have to, post-produce on your laptop. You just have this little paper. And generally, I haven't printed many photographs of my projects. I do for exhibitions, but I don't have so many, at home. I usually, I print and I sell, or I keep them for future exhibitions, the prints. Now, the past 2 years that I used to work as a photography specialist for Qatar Museums, and I was supervising and curating and archiving all the photography collection there. I got really fascinated about the paper and the relation to photography and paper, that in the digital era, somehow we forget it a little bit.
Totally.
And, so yes, I became a paper lover.
Amazing.
In the last 2 years, and I appreciated more and more Polaroids. Now I also have a proper Polaroid, let's say. But I like the result of the Fuji, the wide Insta Fuji. I really like the result. So yeah.
My sister has one. It's super nice. I see them as well. She has, first of all, actually I don't know if it's exactly the same, but she has this Lomo camera that works with Fujifilm though. And it's very beautiful to see. The beautiful thing about Polaroid is also that there's already kind of like the color look and everything that we try and, after the fact then maintain or create in Photoshop or something. It's already baked in Polaroid. Exactly. You don't have to do anything. And that is the beautiful thing. It's so ethereal. It's like so tangible, actually. You have it and it's already basically a piece of art. And that's the beauty of Polaroid. Absolutely. I can relate to that.
Spontaneous feeling that, this is somehow art also, you see something and by instinct you take a photograph and that's it.
Yeah.
There is
absolutely
so much thought in the process.
Yes. And also, you know what I picked up is on as well as for me, I also used to do a lot of portrait photography. I still do. I mean, I love portrait photography, but before digital, I used to do a lot of portraiture on an old Rollei camera, which I just love for portraiture because, it has the top view and everything. And you actually maintain a bit of a connection with your subject while you talk to them. You don't like get lost behind a camera. And it's roll film. It's medium format film. So you have 12 shots. That's it. Right?
Yeah.
And when those 12 shots are done, then you have to reload the camera and put another one. Okay. You can work with more cameras or with, whatever, but you will lose time and there will be a break. And, you do that. And when you do that, you are more like a hunter, right? You're hunting for that image. You are waiting. You're kind of shifting from one leg to the other, trying to, provoke a reaction also in somebody when you photograph them. Now with digital, you're becoming a collector. I do at least. I just take a lot of pictures and thinking, yeah, I'll have something. That's for sure. And that's really something that I do miss, but that's not really easy to maintain if you're digital because you just know subconsciously you have as many shots as you want. So you're not really being economic about it. And this is the beautiful thing also about Polaroid photography, I think, because you just have this one shot and then, you can have a few, but also it's expensive, the film. You can't just take 20, 30 shots. So you also take pictures in a different kind of way. And I like that very much about the Polaroid film, actually.
That's why I think it's important, especially the young photographers, to practice with analog photography and analog cameras. Because when somehow you learn photography through analog cameras, you learn, to be more... not careful in the way of thinking too much, but you make more your photographs, even if they are unconscious photographs, you take it in a very conscious way somehow.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you don't just shoot and you select something, a photograph afterwards. You select
exactly
before. When you see it, when you take the photograph, you know what to expect even after. So I think that, for everyone who learns photography that way through analog, this remains forever with you. You can't forget it.
Yeah, I agree. It's also about because it is also then I think about valuing the actual or realizing the actual value of a picture as well. If there's a limitation on something, it has more value than if there is no limitation and it's just unlimited. And to learn that, I think, is also to, in the end, take better pictures. I really believe that. So, here's to Polaroid photography, something that we also thought we had lost and just came back out of nowhere all of a sudden, which is very nice.
Nice.
So I would like to read a little biography that I have partly taken from your CV so that the listeners also know a little more about you. And then I added a couple of things at the end. And then once I'm through, I would like you to know if you can identify with what I wrote or if you think that is just the biggest load of bull that you've ever heard.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Yeah, you should be. So, here it goes. Olga Stefatou is a visual artist and curatorial consultant. She recently moved back to her native country, Greece, after working with Qatar Museums as photography specialist for 2 years. In her practice, Olga works with mixed media and mainly with photography. Also with film, I think, a lot of video. She investigates the idea of freedom and its connection to geopolitics, heritage, and social structures with a special interest in gender issues. Believing that image making should engage the personal and collective consciousness, her work entangles documentary practices with performance elements as tools to reflect alternative realities. Olga has exhibited her work at Doha Fire Station Art Space, Los Angeles Month of Photography, Head On, Les Boutographies, and Gallery Negpos in France, among others. Some of her major projects include the long-term series Red Ruby in Myanmar, which I also want to talk to you about. While in 2015, she participated in the pioneering Solar Impulse mission, the first-time attempt to circumnavigate the world using only solar power. Not just attempt, they did it, and the photos are exceptional. Olga has traveled worldwide and extensively in Asia, producing photography and video on social and humanitarian issues. She has an extensive experience in photojournalism, collaborating with international media such as Der Spiegel, Die Zeit, The Economist, NBC News, and Vanity Fair, among others. Olga is the creative director of Saristra Festival Arts, a festival celebrating music and arts on Cephalonia Island in Greece, which is also just a beautiful island. Olga studied photography at the Technological Educational Institute of Athens, and in 2012, she earned her master's degree in multimedia journalism from the University of Bolton, UK, while being based in Beijing, China. A lot of stops that you have already made along your way. Through her work, and this is where my personal view comes in, Olga creates a stage to empower people to transform our perception of them, involving her subjects rather than presenting them. Her project, Chrysalis, a series of portraits of refugee women dressed up in the same golden rescue blankets that are handed out to hypothermic refugees upon arrival on the Greek islands, can serve as a perfect example for that. What once was a sign of vulnerability is transformed through her work into a symbol of beauty and strength. Olga's work is also concerned with questions around home and identity, which we already realized also in your book description earlier, with a strong, tangible love towards her native Greece while maintaining a critical distance, proving, to me at least, that love is in essence the acceptance of imperfection. That's it.
Wow.
So, do you want to comment on that?
I'm impressed.
You are! My God, I did it then. That's very good.
No, really, I'm impressed.
Wow, that's
words. Thank you so much.
very, very, very welcome. This is just generally really how I see your work. And I mean, this is just these are just two paragraphs. Your work deserves a lot more than just two paragraphs, of course. But I think I have to keep the time in mind a little bit. But no, really, at
least what I want to express. What's my intention behind? Yes, you totally perceive that, so it makes me happy.
Nice. I'm glad. I'm very happy about that. Very, very happy about that. So then I would like to ask you, before we also go into your more personal experience, also across the topic of crises a little bit and how art can play a role in that, if just for once, before that, to quickly move over and find something. Have you come across anything, a piece of art by somebody else, a song, a photo, a film, that for you has been something that has moved you quite deeply lately? Anything where you were like, wow, that was just amazing? Was there anything like that in the last weeks or something?
The last weeks is that book that I mentioned before.
All right, yes.
What else? The last weeks, mainly this. Photographs. I see so many photographs every day, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I don't like them, all of them the same, but I see very often, and I keep them in a folder to remember them, because especially as a curator and a photography specialist, yes, I look a lot of different artworks and the history of photography and everything. But today I've seen something really nice, which was very from. Let me wait, because I see it today and I really like it. It's from I saw it in a new photography magazine that has to do with collectors and photography collections. And I saw a photograph from Fenton in 1856.
Hmm.
And
Roger Fenton, the guy also that documented the Crimean War, I think,
yes,
right?
Walter Fenton,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the photograph is about two royal children. But yeah, it's a really nice photograph, the portrait. And of course, I would like to mention Paul Fusco, who left us, I think, yesterday.
Oh, really? I didn't read that.
Yes,
Okay.
a photographer. And yes, I mean,
Magnum photographer, right?
yes, I really like his
Yeah.
work. So I think that it was mentioning today.
Oh, wow. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I didn't hear that. Like, how old was he actually? How old was Paul Fosco?
90. I think he was 90 years old.
That's a good age. I
Yes,
mean,
I
I mean, it's a good age. Fair enough. It's, I mean, very, very sad, but 90 is a good age. But yeah, I like him as well.
he had a full life, I think. And his
Oh,
photographs, I mean,
yes,
yeah, it's amazing work in photojournalism.
absolutely.
So, yeah, I think I would message
That's plenty. That's plenty already, I have to say. Can I say what I really enjoyed, and this is almost going to come across as me sucking up to you a little bit also after the CV and everything, but I really mean it. Because I was obviously going through, your work, your body work, and looking at a lot of the things. And one image that really, really struck me that I think is exceptional is one of your images, in Myanmar, this woman, I think it's actually even also one of your like landing pictures, images on the landing pages, of the woman in Myanmar that smokes. Do you know which one I mean?
Yes,
She's just kind of this very dreamy woman that is just looking up into the sky with a cigarette in her hand. And her facial expression is really, she's so far away. She's so removed from where she is right now. And she's holding the cigarette, like a cigarette that's actually a sign of, addiction, something that is the opposite of free. And yet at the same time, if you place it then in the context of Myanmar, at the time, I don't know, what year was it taken? I'm sure you can help me out with that.
this was in 2006. And as you say, yes, you are very right that express freedom, although a cigarette smoking is somehow an addiction.
Yes.
But in her case, she didn't smoke. This was her first ever cigarette she had.
Mm-hmm.
And the women in Myanmar, the young women, they don't smoke. Only the old women smoke, traditionally meaning. And so it was that moment that she took a cigarette and she really enjoyed it. That she did without any guilt, she just enjoyed that pleasure. And I think that this is communicated in the photograph, and I
Absolutely.
like it for the same reason.
Yes. But this is the striking thing to me when I look at it, and this is why I think it is such a strong picture, because it is an image where you are confronted with contradictions and it works, right? Totally. And it just confronts you also with your preconceptions about, like a cigarette is an addiction. It is something that is deemed as negative. Whereas if you put it into a different context, and if you think of Myanmar, as little as I know about Myanmar because I have never been there, I just know the things that I know from the news, and we all know, or at least I know that that's a very limited view to take. I see that it's a country that was, under a dictatorship, a military junta, and also cigarettes at the same time are like this, something that you associate with the American GIs coming to Germany and liberating the country at the time, So there's a whole lot of different levels and layers in that image where you're like, and it comes together and it works. And this is the thing that I find fascinating about this picture, and why I think it is an amazingly strong picture, and it's something that I can look at all day pretty much. So this is something that I personally like very much. Very nice image, very, very nice image. I will link to that as well, of course. So
it was taken on my first trip in Myanmar in 2006.
How many trips have you done to Myanmar so far?
13, 14 trips.
My word, so many.
Something like that, yes.
So I think it's kind of safe to say that you have quite an intimate relationship with Myanmar, right?
Oh, yes, it's my home.
It's probably still an understatement.
Yes. No, it's like a home for me, a real home. Not
When has this love blossomed for the first time? How did this happen?
I still try to understand how that happened. I didn't know much about Myanmar in 2005. Yeah, in 2005, I started thinking that I want to go to Myanmar. Back then, I didn't know much. I knew about the dictatorship. I knew about the Aung San Suu Kyi, she's the president of the NLD party, and now she's president of the country.
And was on a house arrest for many, many years because she advocated a free Myanmar, right?
Exactly. And I admire so much that woman, that she was, a tiny woman, but so strong to fight peacefully the army and the dictatorship. I was fascinated about her story. And at the same time, I was so curious to see how the people live there, because it used to be a very isolated country back then. And I had that curiosity, how do they live? How do they experience freedom in such oppressed environment? I had many questions, more existential questions. And that was the beginning. And also, and I haven't done much research before going. I just decided that I want to follow a specific route in the country for 1.5 months. That was my first trip. But when I arrived there and I stayed for a bit, I discovered so many things. And I was sure before leaving from Myanmar, I was sure that I will be back. And somehow that's very, personal. It's not so... because there are many things that attract me after in Myanmar, and political things and social things and the people themselves, the people I met there and the relationships I've created there. But I think that personally I had that need or desire to find somehow a new home. I didn't feel much connected to Greece, where I came from. It's weird, but somehow, yes, I wanted to escape from Greece and I wanted to find a new home. And I found it. But then slowly also I felt Greece as home, because, it's a very different... Of course, I was born in Greece. I grew up there. Most of my memories are in Greece, but I didn't feel it so much home. The feeling of home, now I realize that it's a very unique feeling, and you create yourself somehow that feeling. You create,
yes.
You create. I don't know the experience, your home when you are living the environment, but you created yourself. It's not something that, yes, I live in France and I feel home. At least this is my personal experience and view. So somehow, psychologically, I was looking for a new home. I don't know why I found Myanmar, which was such an oppressed place. But I felt connected to this place. And I was feeling, I love the people there. And
was it the people that are, I mean, because the people are the place, basically, right? So to me, at least, a lot of the times, the people are the place.
To me, for sure.
So you just bridged over to them easily. They were just something. Sorry, they were definitely not something, but they were. You could just bridge over to them easily. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, no. The people kept me, and I wanted to return. Not the place itself, the landscape, let's say, for example, or the nature. I mean, with nature in Myanmar is really incredible, but it wasn't that attract me. And it's still the people there. I wanted to listen to their stories because they were feeling very isolated, and there were very, very few foreigners in the country. There was no internet, there was no mobile phones, there was only home lines, and actually there were just phones at the neighborhoods for all the houses of one neighborhood. So they were very disconnected to the rest of the world. And I felt that I want to be there to listen to their stories, what they have to say, what they want to say, and then communicate it outside of Myanmar. And at the same time, there was so much contrast because there was violence, lots really horrible violence, and the people, at least the ones I met, they were so sensitive people. They were fighting for their freedom. They were struggling for their life, and they had so many dreams that they didn't know what to do with those dreams. And I was connected to those people because, of course, when you have a dictatorship, you also have it's the army, which is it's very powerful. But of course, some people also support that system. And I was very connected and deeply sensitive to all the Burmese and the ethnic groups. But yes, in my travels, I was fascinated with those people who were fighting for their freedom and their life.
Yeah.
And I was very much involved, somehow I became obsessed with Myanmar and the politics there and what's happening with the ethnic groups and how do they change. Of course, in the beginning, it became a legend in my mind. And later, I realized many things that I didn't like so much or I didn't agree so much. But
I think if you look hard enough, you will always find these things everywhere. Would you agree?
Of course, yes. But when I started in my first trips, I was, it became a legend in my mind, and I couldn't see, anything that I could disagree with them. I just love them so much. But slowly, and especially after the opening of the country, that we started seeing, the results of a long dictatorship, the results of living for many, many years in fear and in violence. All these things have a cost later in the society, also during the dictatorship, but also after the opening of the country. It's the constitution there is still under the army. So this hasn't changed.
Now it is still under the army?
Yes, the constitution is still under the army. So there are still many things to change there. But of course, it's not, since 2012, it's not the situation as it used to be before. And you see, many violent, abusive behaviors that somehow you expect when you have an abused population. So yes, That's a very strong point.
That's a very strong point.
Yeah, it's a very complex country and society. Very, very complex.
But you saying that to me is a very strong point, because now, after the change, I think all our knowledge of Myanmar, all our knowledge, but to a large degree, because you also said there were very little foreigners. Myanmar was very cut off from the world, pretty much. There are very few people, I think, who have the same kind of intimate knowledge as you do of the country. So we all have kind of a superficial idea of what is going on there. And then, Myanmar was in the news again, big time when, it came to the I don't even know how to put it the right way, but when the Rohingya in Myanmar were kind of persecuted. This is like kind of the last time that Myanmar really made the news, like on a large scale. Exactly. And then we let it simmer again, and now we don't even know what's going on there anymore. But if you say that, like they're basically a traumatized people from what happened, this is something that then also explains why they are behaving a certain way toward minorities, or like the Rohingya in this case, and why ethnicities in Myanmar do play a large role, I suppose.
Yes, and for example, before the opening of the country, I remember very well that they used to live all kind of minorities together peacefully. There are, of course, there are many Buddhists, Muslims, Hindu, Christians. They used to live peacefully together. You could see in a mosque a Christian and a Buddhist going there. You could see in a Christian church a Muslim and a Buddhist there. So many things changed after the opening, and the society started being more racist, and which I was really surprised and very sad and disappointed in the beginning, and I still am. But
why do you think that happened, though? Why do you think? Is it because it was a valve for people to let out their frustration of the years, decades before? Because if they had lived like this peacefully next to each other, what was responsible for this eruption in ethnic
there is
hate, basically?
There is lots of propaganda, and it's very easy.
Facebook was very much involved with that, right?
Exactly.
To some degree.
It's a very easy target because most of the people they haven't received any education. And many areas are still somehow isolated, They listen what the leaders say of the village, of the area, what the TV say, what Facebook say. I mean, the last time I was there, I realized in some areas of the country, they think that internet is only Facebook.
Yeah. I think the internet in Myanmar, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I read somewhere, sometime, that internet is called Facebook. Is that true?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. But I can definitely say that they consider Facebook as the internet.
All right, yes, because it comes pre-installed on some of the cell phones, right? It's like they don't pay, like it's just kind of like a free. I mean, it's a free service for us as well, but it's it carries a lot of weight, at least.
I mean, definitely, I don't find any excuses in racism. There is no excuses, but I see what's happening there. I realize what's happening there, and it's really sad. Yes, but I think that it's based a lot on propaganda. The army knows how to promote those messages very well. They know how to threaten the people. And, they know how to use fear as a tool.
Yes.
And,
so basically all those things that we're saying is like all this hate and this separation is nothing else but to help the conservation of power, basically. Right?
Yes.
Like it
in my opinion,
is most of the time.
Yeah. It's always a political games.
Yeah.
And they do the same things. I mean, of course, the Rohingya, it's terrible what's happening there. But also many ethnic groups in Myanmar has really big problems of violence and abuse and numbers of deaths. It's not something solved. Because they used to have a civil war until very recently.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So,
obviously, you know, I
that's
think
why I think that only someone who really lived in Myanmar or has been many times can get the big picture of what's happening in this country.
Of course. Of course. And that, but I think this is exactly what you are also like bringing across to me, at least, like to say, you know, for something terrible to happen, there has to be some sort of traumatization that is in a country. And it is taking that traumatization and channeling it into something that, you know, that they separate off from themselves to make it something, a little more abstract and an easily solvable problem. Right? If
Yeah.
we just discard them, we'll all be fine. And, you know, I mean, I'm German, so I know exactly historically how that works and how that just works time and time again, apparently. It is a very strong, you know, political motivation and a very strong political divider. And it never helps the people. It just always helps the people that are already in power. And I think this is something that you just see where history repeats itself, unfortunately, a lot of the times. And the same is happening in Myanmar as it is happening in a lot of other places right now as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely all because I witnessed that change, let's say, and what happened since 2006 until now.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also a very personal journey, those 15 years going in Myanmar. And
I can imagine.
I'm glad that I was going for a couple of months and then I was back to Greece because I had the time to think of what I was doing, to return again with a fresh eye. I was different. Myanmar was different. And I discovered also many, you know, magical things in photography in Myanmar because while you're traveling, you're staying so much with yourself alone and taking photographs, trying to meet people, making your own choices on photography, on, you know, what's your next step on the journey, what you are looking for. It has been a very rich journey.
Nice. I can relate to that because I think traveling in general is something where you just, you know, it just opens your pores. Let me put it that way. You know, you take things in. And I think what you're describing about Myanmar is something that I, and this is kind of where it comes a bit a full circle, is Greece to me. You know, Greece to me is very much like that. I mean, I love Greece. Greece to me is like a home, you know. I still don't speak Greek well enough to be entirely like, you know, like fully integrated.
Yes.
You guys make it very difficult, by the way. I mean, you guys make it very difficult. Like, what about all those sounds, you know, different letters that are the same sounds? I'm just saying, you know, just putting it out there. But it's just, I just love Greece and I love the country and is, you know, but what you described earlier on, if you spend enough time in a place, obviously I also know the imperfections of Greece. There are also a lot of imperfections in Greece. And if you stay in a place long enough, you will find them. You know, there is no possibility you'll stay anywhere long enough. There's also no possibility you know anybody long enough without discovering some imperfections. And this is where I think in the beginning of your CV as well, where I said, you know, this is what your work shows to me when it comes to identity and home, is to embrace those imperfections, because that's what love is. That's what love is. And it shows that to me. So Greece has that to me. And also your work really very much shows that to me and teaches me that when I look at it. And that's, I think, the only way to go about traveling and the only way about discovering something new, for me at least.
For me, I learned many things from the people I met there. because now the whole world is becoming a very oppressed place. And
authoritarianism is on the rise. I think it's safe to say that, right?
Exactly, everywhere in the world. So and this, when I started going to Myanmar, that was my goal, somehow to understand how these people they define freedom in that in oppressed environment, and yes, how do they live with suppression, but at the same time without losing their selves, without losing their individuality, without losing their freedom. And I learned many things from the people there. And I feel that's, now that the whole world is becoming like this, which is really sad.
Yeah. Beautiful
I think lessons in life.
Yes, I think for me an underlying motivation in having this podcast was also because I obviously also see that, and I wanted to do something where I felt it connects people throughout the world, because I do believe essentially we're all the same. We're not all the same. Sorry, let me take one step back. We're not all the same. We're all different, and that's also fine. But underlying, I think we have very similar desires and we have very similar outlooks on life. We all want to be safe. We all want to live good lives, and I think that is underlying everything. And to some degree, we are all connected. And we see that more and more in terms of climate change, in terms of, political changes, that what we do as a global population is something that is really reflected in our everyday lives. Nothing is independent of each other anymore. It's become a dynamic whole. And I think that's one of the things that, led me to do this. And it's something that if you realize it, I think you become a little more mindful of your environment and of the things that are happening. I hope, at least, not that I'm doing that, but it's so that's why it's always nice to also talk to people that have seen other places and have traveled and have made other places their home, like you and Myanmar, which is when was the last time you were there, actually?
It was last year in June 2019.
All right.
And yes, I want to make a book out of this work.
Nice.
So yes, I'm focusing on that now.
All right. You have a lot of images, I can imagine. A lot.
Yes, I have.
All right.
But editing is I don't know, it's really hard also.
Making a book is very, very hard. It really is.
And for me, it's going to be my first book. So I don't have so much experience on making books. It's going to be my first.
Wow.
And, so yes, it's a process. But
it is.
I really enjoyed it, and I really want to, after all that work I have done in this country, I really want to close this project.
I of course, I can understand that. I also have a book project that I haven't really started, but I want to finish. I can relate, but it's really a lot of work to just put it into shape. Especially, I mean, you have, if my maths is correct, 14 years of going to Myanmar, basically. Right?
Yes, 15 years. I mean, I didn't go every year. I haven't been there every year, but some years I've been twice.
Yeah.
But
so you must have a lot of material, and to shaping that out in a book is very difficult, especially if you are also subjectively involved in the whole thing.
Yes,
I think.
I mean, I definitely need assistance.
It helps sometimes. Somebody who can take a bit of a distance. Yes.
Yes.
When it comes to Myanmar, I also have another question for you. That I find, if I think about it, because before when the first free elections were held in Myanmar and Aung San Suu Kyi was elected and she became the president of Myanmar, it felt like it was just like there were so many hopes for just such a better future and better tomorrow, and the possibilities. Everything looked so beautiful. And if you look at it now, or optimistic, and if you look at it now and what happened in Myanmar and all the challenges that there are, it feels like a bubble has burst also a little bit, right? To say it provocatively, right? You're saying it provocatively.
It's true, but imagine a country that even the word democracy doesn't exist in the language. They say it only in English. And so the people imagine that, yes, they will have elections. It's going to be Aung San Suu Kyi. There is democracy. It doesn't go that way.
Yes.
And a part of the, what's happening inside Aung San Suu Kyi's political party, the corruption, how she's leading in the end of the day. At the same time, the army still controls the constitution. The army still controls many things, so it's a long way. It's not, of course there is change. Of course people have more rights now. They can travel. Before it was extremely difficult to travel. The economy, flow in a different way. Yeah. And in some cases better, in some chapters worse. Of course, there are changes, some good, some not good. For example, in Yangon, in the capital, the last time I was there, I didn't feel that there is a progress there. I felt that, many people from villages, from the countryside moved to Yangon, and there is so much poverty now there, more than before. So, yeah, it's a long way. It's a long way. Something has changed in the positive. Now the young people, they can be in Yangon, the capital, outside on the street, and they can skate, they can dance, hip hop. Before they couldn't.
No.
So of course, all these are what I said now. It's a very simple change, but it changed somehow a lot, especially for the young people. The life. There's still so much to change there, but it needs time and it needs the people to do things, to make the change. They can't wait only from Aung San Suu Kyi. And who is going to be after Aung San Suu Kyi?
Yes,
they need a good leader to follow her. Otherwise, the army is going to be again more powerful than now.
Yeah.
It's
no.
We can talk for hours about the politics in Myanmar.
Yes, I'm sure we can. I'm sure this is just something that can, exactly fill an entire evening. What it just puts out to me as well, in some senses, I think one of the things is we always have to dream of change and as bringing some sort of a perfect ideal, but life is not made to be that. I believe, I think because we always need something bigger and better to imagine to keep us going forward, and I think that's what I at least felt when I thought of Myanmar as well. It's like it's very nice to think that with one event everything changes and everything will be great and everything will be better, but with every change also there come new challenges, and I think it is essential for us to keep looking for something to improve as well, to give us something to work towards. Do you think that's feasible, or do you think, I don't know, that's also kind of pessimistic maybe?
There is no peace at this place. They don't live in peace. And I'm saying this because there's still conflict with the Rohingya, with the other ethnic groups. It changes every year. It changes, but generally they don't live in peace. Even if they don't have democracy, there is no peace there. And all the countries has there is a conflict, invisible conflict or visible conflict. There the conflict is very visible, apart from the invisible stages of the conflict.
Yeah.
And I think that people they I've met people there that they are very free, in their mind and in their heart. And I believe in those people because those people can change something in a country.
Absolutely. How do you think then, this leads on to that a little bit, how do you think positive change can be achieved? What does it take for positive change?
Positive change is not to wait only from Aung San Suu Kyi, for example, to save the country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think positive change is not to wait someone to save you. Positive change, I think that everyone becomes, responsible for himself and what he can do best in his day to make easier his life and the other's life. I think responsibility is a big issue. I think also to be open to change, for change. Some people, we see that in every society, they are so much afraid of changes or breaking a tradition that they don't want to change at all. To have a critical thinking, I think it's necessary. What you listen in TV, what you read on the internet,
and what you give credibility.
There are so many lies around us, so many lies. I think people, yes, they need to be very critical of what they're listening and, when they make their choices. And I think that, yes, the choices that everyone makes somehow influences what's happening because, as you said, everything is connected.
Yeah. I think the powerful thing that you just said there, the very powerful thing I believe is that, that change, that positive change that we all long for is something that we're not going to be saved by somebody else, but basically our own actions are what is going to make the positive change.
Yeah.
So instead of looking to others all of the time, it's just what can I do in my own very small environment on an everyday level? How can I make things better? And I think if you carry that thought with you, this is indeed the change that will be the positive change
example,
that a lot of people look for.
It has been living in that conditions for many years. They have, I think it's maybe the number one country on donations. The people give so many donations, and many people are very well organized in having organizations, helping people, creating communities of assistance and activism. These things are happening a lot in Myanmar because exactly, the society couldn't stand by itself only with the state. The same happened also in Greece during the crisis.
Yeah.
But yes, it's I think once a few years ago was the number one country on donations, Myanmar.
Wow.
Yeah.
But then donations are not the things that, obviously solve anything because they usually come with, also with...
yes. I mean, yes.
Yes, like with expectations and stuff. But I mean, you also, like you know about crisis as well. Exactly. You don't have to go to Myanmar.
I will give an example with a woman I met in 2018 in Myanmar, and I met her again in 2019. That she was a single mother, and because herself she suffered a lot as a single mother, she decided to help single mothers, and now she has adopted herself around 30 children.
Wow.
Yes, she cannot, because at first I was suspicious with this, but then I researched deeper and I found that she's very honest on what she's doing. And in reality, she has created a small orphanage, but with different rules, because she is officially the mother. And she's such an amazing woman. She has so much passion, to help those children, to love those children, to spend time with them, to do hundreds of things every day. It's crazy how many things she's doing every day. You find, small miracles that really helps the society, or give example, of what a person can do. In my eyes, she's a very powerful woman. She has so much strength.
Amazing woman. I mean, just from what I hear from you now, amazing. There's one sentence that has resonated with me for a long time, and something that I feel I have also personally witnessed on a lot of levels is that everything is pregnant with its contrary, right? So that if you are in a crisis and you feel that everything is bad, it will also at the same time, to an equal amount, grow the exact opposite of that. As an example, when Jim and I were filming the documentary about the refugee trail in Europe, we went there because we were so disappointed with what was being shown on television and everything. And we went there and we just saw all the suffering and all the terrible things that you see when you go to some of the Greek islands in the Aegean Sea, and you see how and under what circumstances refugees arrive there in the boats and everything. And at the same time, we will also be able to witness so much goodness from people that were coming from all over Europe and trying to reach out and give a helping hand to their fellow human beings that had politically nobody to really take a stand for them. And this is something that I am carrying with me to this moment and to this day, and is something was one of the, I think, most formidable experiences of my life in that sense. So that's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
No, that's a good point, that, there are always two poles, the opposite poles.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's good to empower those positive, powerful poles in order to bring some more positive change.
Yes, absolutely. I want to ask you a question about also moving a little bit away from Myanmar, because this is something actually something that another friend of mine has pointed out to me lately, Mabel from Rio, who is a psychologist in a hospital in Brazil, in Rio. And she said, that we all know that, in a lot of countries with an authoritarian leadership, like Brazil, the United States, the UK, the outbreak of the coronavirus has been quite extreme, more than in most other countries. And if you then look at all the countries that are being led by women, they have been doing quite well in the corona crisis, right?
Good point.
So she really brought that to my attention. I mean, the authoritarian we know, basically, but this is something that's a little bit under the radar, at least. And you being somebody that is very much, involved in gender equality and giving a voice to women as well, I believe, in a lot of your work. Why do you think that is? Why do you think is that the case? Because I think it is inevitable to come to that conclusion to some degree.
Why? Maybe, I don't know exactly, but the women have been lately in the politics so much involved. And maybe their political agenda is not the same with other, men in the power. The other thing I think it's that I would like to believe that women are more sensitive in the sense not to go only with the profit, and everything in this planet is around the profit.
Unfortunately, yes.
So yes, they might look also the profit, but in a very different way. They might find a more sustainable way, like they do also in their families. I mean, if we see a woman in a family, somehow she's the one who is trying to have, a sustainable balance in the family.
Yes.
I think that they are trying also the same somehow in the bigger scale in a country, to bring more sustainability in the country, not only quick profit. Yeah, I think that they are excellent leaders, and when they take the opportunity, they prove that when they have it.
Absolutely.
Yes, there are not so many women have that opportunity, and of course,
Far too little.
Sometimes you find, I don't want only to separate it to women and men, because sometimes also women, they just want to become or have the same attitude as a man. I don't want always to separate, the two genders. Because we see also politicians who are women, but it's like, the body is in a female body, but the mentality, it's very male mentality, very dominant male mentality.
Yes.
So yeah, it depends. It depends. But I understand what you mean and what your friend from Brazil says. And I wish that more women will be in the power. For sure the future would be better.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yes, on women.
I absolutely agree. I think that the problem
in companies, in the government, in everything.
Yes.
We need more balance in this world, for sure. The world is in total imbalance in everything.
I agree entirely. And this is one of the many things, of course, but I think this is a very deciding factor as well, because I do believe, and I agree with you, I think this is, to have women in power and women in deciding positions will automatically give a lot more balance to the world. Personally, I believe that personally. This is not factual, but I believe that because we are, 50% women and we're 50% men, and one part of the population being entirely underrepresented, that cannot mean anything good, according to me.
Yes, and I also think that they find very different ways to solve problems, more peaceful ways.
Yes.
We see that the male, let's say, strategy is the strategy of conflict. I don't think that the female
I think history speaks for itself in that sense, yes.
Yes, exactly. So that's a huge difference, and it will make a big difference.
Yes, I do believe exactly the same, and I think that the dangerous part of it is that I think that women might start thinking that if we are more like men, then we will get into leading positions, and I think that is definitely not what should happen. The opposite, I think, should happen. But being in a male-dominated society like we still are, it is obviously difficult to maintain, I will call it now the female integrity, and believe that this is getting you where you want to be. So I think this is exactly like kind of the battleground as well, like to be female without, adopting like male practices in power management or whatsoever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because we males, we fucked up a lot of things in this world. That's definitely for sure. Like, I mean, that's pretty evident.
Yeah.
Um,
You like to be warriors.
yeah, something like that. I think it has a lot to do with socialization and everything, but I think that's another very huge topic. Um, but it brings me to one other thing that I also find interesting. Do you think that after the corona crisis, like after, I mean, I don't know if there's ever an after, to be honest, but with the corona crisis, actually, because here in Germany, for instance, we have a lot of conversations about how the corona crisis is throwing like gender equality back by 20, 30 years, because now some of the attributed roles are just kind of surfacing again, like the male is going out and getting, earning the money, while the females are staying at home with the kids because the kindergartens are closed and, the schools are closed and so on. So we have the old gender role models in that sense. Do you think that this is something that, that will actually really just slow this down or throw us back a couple of years? Or do you also see that there is maybe a chance in all of this for new possibilities for gender equality?
I think that there is always, there is always a choice. The thing is, all this situation with the pandemic make people to be very afraid of anything, depending of what's happening in their life and the conditions. So if a woman is getting very afraid that she cannot survive, let's say, by herself, and she takes the choice, yes, she cannot survive, she doesn't help that gender equality and her own balance. If she says to that fear, no, I have I have the skills, I'm clever, I'm whatever, and I can do what I want. I said now just a simple example, and I will not depend, let's say, on my husband. This automatically gives her more freedom and gives more balance. But so I think that there is always a choice, but definitely that situation with the COVID, which is going to last, and I think that has changed already the world. The world will not be the same again. The fear is a big trap, and many people will be trapped in that fear. So it's a matter of how the people are going to use, the opportunities, what kind of choices they are going to take. But definitely the situation with the COVID will not help. It depends how everyone is going to, use what kind of choice is going to make under those conditions. But the COVID itself doesn't help, I think.
What do you think would have to happen, or how do you think this would have to be so? Because I personally believe that despite, by the way, in recording these podcasts, I realize I say, a lot. I mean, really. So every time I say that, I'm like, my God, again, really? Anyway, so what do you think would have to happen to use this more as an opportunity, as a stepping stone, maybe, rather than to fall back into all gender roles?
I think it's important for each woman to feel confident, to understand very well her feelings and what she wants to do, and not having doubts for it, because the society has been created so much on the male dominance, let's say, that the woman very often forgets.
It's subdued.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think it's important to feel secure, to feel strong, and to follow their own path. I mean, maybe, of course, together with their partner, with their friend, in the professional environment. But I think it's important to feel confident and not having doubts of what they feel and what they do, you know?
How can we
Not
as
to-
males, and I am very consciously doing the we and you narrative here. How can we as males support women to get exactly there? What you just described. What do we need to do as guys to do that? For you guys to get there?
I mean, of course, I have many friends, and I had partners that they were really supportive to women. I don't want to generalize now that all the male.
No. I mean, of course. I mean, it happens. There's also the good guys and whatever, but like, just generally speaking, just don't be shy.
I think that we need an understanding from both sides, and especially, at least in Greece, to give space to women that they know things, they know what they talk about, they can be wise in many things, wiser than their husband, let's say. Yes, I think that we need to understand more how different we are as individuals, apart from the gender now. To give space to know more each other, to listen each other, to spend quality time together. I think that both genders, yes, they have to. The men have to keep back a little bit their ego, and that they know everything, or they are best in everything. Or I mean, at least in Greece, I have faced that. Even as a professional photographer, I faced that a lot.
Sure.
I'm not saying
you would face that in Germany as well, though. Just saying. But
yes, I faced that a lot in my in my career, a lot. And I mean, when I was much younger, as a young photographer, I didn't know how to deal with that. I was feeling really bad with it, and I didn't know exactly how to deal. It makes me to feel, to be more, how to say, to step back and to be more quiet in my job, not to be so energetic or active, because somehow I was afraid what I'm going to face next. Later in the years, I understood how, it's helpful for me to deal with it, how it's helpful for me to, to just do what I want to do in my job. So now it's very different for me personally, but I have faced all that stuff for many years, and I didn't know what to do with them. And somehow I lost time and I lost opportunities because of that. So I think that all the society has to be more alert what's happening, in every field in the society with these issues, and be active, do something, not just to ignore.
So basically recognize the status quo. I think for me personally, that is the number one step.
And I think that somehow, this happens even unconsciously, without understanding, because we have learned to live like that, women and men. So we need to step back and see, okay, what did I say now exactly? What I have done? Why I'm doing this? And change it.
When you say we have all learned to live with that, I think, to be honest with you, I think women have learned to live with that a lot more than men, because men never have to. But men definitely haven't learned to live with it, because so far they have put their, their stamp on what was going on. So
also, men traditionally learn to live that way, and now, I mean, comparing, it's the countries and the cultures are very different. It's very different. The imbalance in Greece with another place, or the imbalance between the genders in Qatar with another place, or in in China. It's not the same everywhere, but everywhere there is an imbalance.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. I think
Yes.
that's very safe to say. Yeah.
Different, but there is everywhere between the
Yes.
genders. So, yes, the first step, as you say, is to recognize and step back and act, make a change, even if it is something very small.
Yeah. And also realize that you are, first of all, a man, or in other, in other contexts that you are privileged, that you are also or just going another way because it is kind of kind of very, how can I say it? It's something that's on everybody's mind right now as well. It's also, Black Lives Matter motion as well. I'm white. So to really recognize as well, I am white, I have a privileged life. I'm white. I'm a male. So what does that mean, right? For myself? I'm not saying that necessarily my life is just always entirely smooth sailing, but my life is a lot more smooth sailing than a lot of other people's, because I am, not a minority, but I am part of what is considered mainstream entirely, right?
Yes.
So to me, that realization is the very first step to initiate a conversation where you, as the privileged person, and this is me speaking, right? I am the privileged person. Instead of commenting on what is going on in other people's lives, to just open my ears and listen, right? I think that is the very first step to take. And that goes the same for gender equality, for racial discrimination, for everything. And I think that is step number one. And from that step onwards, then you can think of, in dialogue, what can we improve to make lives better for everybody? Personally.
But, at this point, after so many centuries, the women themselves, first of all, they have to say enough. They don't say that enough. They don't say that enough united, And the same, if this happens also with other things, other problems in the world, which is plenty of problems, we don't say this is enough, let's change it. And now, because of all that survival fear that exists, which I totally understand, and the majority of the people live in this survival mode to survive, it's even more difficult.
So basically, this is where you think that the corona crisis is going to make it even more difficult, actually, right?
Yes.
Because survival mode and everything, you just try and think, of making it throughout the next period of time. And then we can talk about ideological issues of gender equality and so on.
Yes.
Okay. So
I don't want to be pessimistic, but I'm just saying that I think that this is a fact and we need to take in consideration and,
absolutely.
consideration our decisions.
I do not think that is pessimistic. I think that's just, in that sense, I think that's just realistic. I think sometimes you also have to point out the dangers. That's not being pessimistic. That's just acknowledging the status quo of what is and the dangers that are kind of lurking and whatever it is that is going on right now. So
the same with climate change. There have been so many articles about the climate change during the COVID. That the planet has improved and all that. That's good. And this is a sign for everyone, for all the humanity, what it has to be done in the future. Which this is something good. But honestly, I have doubts how these things, will continue in a positive way.
The danger is also a little bit that,
wave of the COVID,
Yes. The danger is also a little bit that, you think that things are, oh, right. Okay. We gave the planet a break. So now we can just carry on. Look, that's nice. I think there's a danger of that, that we will just envelop ourselves with the positive news of the lockdown a little bit. And it's like, oh, okay, But now we really have to get back to how it was before, because we got to live, we got to make profit, and so on and so on. I think that's a big danger. Just because we gave the planet involuntarily a quick break and a quick breather doesn't mean that we should go back to being how it was before. Even though it was very nice to see the dolphins in Alimos, right? I mean, when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Or Venice, for that matter as well. That was amazing, but it doesn't mean that we should just take that as a break and then continue on.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm afraid, that it's going to be just a break.
Yeah. And then we see it like that. Like we gave the planet a break. Now we have to think of ourselves like this continuation of us and nature and the world. Like it's the problem, like the separation that we feel. I really do believe that we're all connected. Everything is connected, and we are just not realizing it. And the only way to solve some of the issues is that everything we do has an effect on the world. So if we, take down all the trees, if we just drill for oil in the Ionian as well, to use a very Greek example, one of the very beautiful, natural reserves of Europe, and we pollute it with oil drilling, we shouldn't be surprised if the world doesn't change for the better, but for the worse. And this is where we have to take responsibility.
Yeah, or the fact that the water is becoming private. I mean, we know what has happened to other countries,
Yes.
But if we don't react, yes, there is a cost, and there is a cost.
Absolutely.
Back to photography. Sometimes I'm thinking about photography and how do you change the world? How do you service this world as a photographer? And I think that, of course, sometimes I feel really weak with photography, that you can do nothing. It's nothing.
So do I. I relate to that, just so you know. I think that's natural. Yes.
But sometimes also I feel that even if you influence one person, to think of something, to think on racism, to think about homophobia, to think about nature, environment, his neighbor, I don't know, or to think more deeper about his life. I think that, yes, if you affect even one person, I think it's already something big.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And I think, some people will say, yeah, that's a very, convenient way of looking at things. But I think that is totally spot on. I think that's more than you could ever ask for. It is the small, and this brings us kind of back to where we were in the beginning as well. It's like, if you want positive change in the world, then it is about your immediate environment. Do something and act according to make your immediate environment a better place. Don't make it abstract. Don't think of the world as a whole. You will not succeed. It's impossible. And it's also too big to grasp anyway. Start with the little things.
Even the relationship you build with the person you photograph, if it is a project that it's a bit, long term, and you create a relationship, I think that it's already a lot. It's already a lot for both people, for the photographer and for the subject, let's say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always about relationship, isn't it? Anyway, none of us is an island.
Yes.
It's all about relationships and the relationships we build. And we all have relationships, and we are all invested in this world in one way or another with the people that we know. And everything else becomes abstract. Everything else is politics. It is this. It is a way of believing. That's all fine and well. We all do that. We all kind of have to do that. We're invested in that. But our immediate environment and the people that are close to us and the people we meet every day, this is also what is the empirical reality of our lives. Everything else, I mean, if you think about how much testimonial knowledge we have, I mean, how much do I know about this world? That is not coming from my own personal knowledge. It is about the knowledge of other people that I find credible. It is about people that, books that I read, like films that I see, knowledge that I take for granted, but very little of that is my own experience, right?
Yeah, there is always this exchange.
Yeah, there's this exchange. And then going back to photography and to what you just said is then the best that I can hope for is that the testimony that I have for this world is something that some people can look at and that some people can resonate with. I think that's the best you can do.
Yes, I agree.
So to close this off a little bit, because we've gone in a lot of different ways and a lot of different directions now, which I think was absolutely beautiful. Seeing all of this and seeing everything that we have said about the changes in general and also the challenges that life brings in itself, obviously. Now, just going back to the Corona crisis now, what opportunities do you see in this crisis? How do you see this can be a positive change with all the like evidence that could point in the exact opposite direction as well, of course. But what opportunities do you see? What positive change can you see in this?
I think that first of all, it was the lockdown. It had many negative disadvantages. But if you consider it as a chance for something, I think is the fact that you have a deeper understanding of what is happening in your life. With the relationship with yourself, the relationship with your roommate, with your family, with your job. Because it was a really tough time for everybody, affected everyone in a different level, but everyone was affected. So I think that it brought on the surface, all the issues in life or the good things in your life. So I think that this was something good and a decent chance to change anything you don't want anymore into your life. The other thing is that definitely with the climate change and the nature, it was a great example, that break of what it's possible to happen on the planet, and to give inspirations for new solutions for the planet and the climate change. I think that another positive thing is that of course, professionally for everyone is really hard this time of period. For most, because I'm sure that many companies made lots of money through that pandemic.
Of course, there's always winners in every crisis. Yes,
exactly. But it gave also new ways of working, and most of them are just digital ways, which also they have many advantages and disadvantages. But you have more choices, let's say.
Yeah.
And I think that this is something good to take in consideration, and to find new ways of having an income or connecting with the world. Or yes, I think that it's new ways that can be also very inspiring. I think also the fact that the planet felt very united, threatened by one, a common thing.
It did, didn't it? Like,
yes.
Even though we pointed out all the differences and the experience of it, but I also feel that there was something that was uniting, at least.
Exactly. It's something common because, wars are happening. The war in Syria, for example, it affects many countries, but not all the countries realize that. They can't feel it. They don't realize it. Some maybe they don't even know that. There are so many horrible things happening in the planet, but we don't feel always that affects us personally or our family or our country. In this case, I think it was the first time that we feel that the whole planet is affected. And every country, every nation feels so much connected to the other nation against that huge fear. And I think that this is also something that we could use it in a positive way. The other thing is, because, it was the fact that the whole planet was so much controlled during the lockdown. And I'm sure that the politicians will use that in the future because now they know how to do it as well. Even for other reasons, not only for health reasons. We need to keep united for good things. Everybody became so disciplined for the pandemic. Everybody became had more empathy for the pandemic. We can use this knowledge now for other problems in the world, like the climate change. So we can unite and discipline more, for other problems in the world. This is that's my thoughts for now.
I agree. I think this is exactly the thing to see, that it is something that really it has a uniting force as well. It has this there is this possibility of just democratizing, big word and everything. It's Greek, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but it's just nice to know that, we do feel to some degree, at least this is what I'm hoping for, right? I don't know if this is in any way real, because also, like I said at the beginning, that, it is also something that is separating us in a way, because, the ones that have, the resources to get through this crisis will do a lot better than the ones that lack the resources. So it is a separating as well as a uniting factor, I believe. But I do believe that, first of all, the differences breaking out like this and being very visible, maybe more than before, is also something that can be, in the long term, be positive, because you cannot hide it anymore. It is out in the open, basically. I don't know.
That's why I think that it's a matter of choice.
Yes.
Of choice, if you choose to be connected with the people and united, or you want, to separate yourself. I mean,
yes.
The pandemic, all that condition is going to the separation thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, this is where it's going. But the people, I think they have the power to connect and to do the opposite. It's possible. It's we just have to choose that.
We just have to choose that. Now that's a very strong sentence, because I think it confirms so much. Personal choice. We always have choice. I really strongly believe in that. Even though some people have more choice than others, I also believe in that. But in a sense, it is also always, and I think in the beginning we also kind of scraped that a little bit. It is all in the mind a little bit as well. It is about how we think about things. Yes. How we think about things determines the reality of things. And maybe this corona crisis can help us think about things a little differently.
Yeah, it can definitely do that.
Yes. And now for my final question. It's like the big lie, the photographer saying, and just one more shot. That never happens, right? We all know that. It's at least another one, or another two or three. But how do you think that art can contribute to this change, to this thinking? What do you think is the role of art in all of this? And that's a very loaded question. I'm aware of that. No pressure, right? So, how do you think about that?
I think arts. I mean, we live in a very sterilized world somehow through the media and the survival mode I said before. So I think art can bring more emotion in our life, which will makes people more sensitive to things. And I think that's very important. I think that art it can be like a mirror of a society, of what's happening, and the mirror can show you your real face, or can show you your real power, or can show you your real ugliness. And
yes.
For example, the work, my project Chrysalis, somehow
beautiful project. I'm sorry to just say that it's a beautiful, beautiful project, because it is just really transforming this whole idea of being a victim into being someone that is just absolutely self-empowered. And the way you did that to me is marvelous. Beautiful project. Just had to put it out there. Sorry. Now please continue.
That was my intention. I didn't want to show, yes, the women are very beautiful, physically beautiful with beautiful dresses. But I wanted to turn that mirror to them and see themselves that they are powerful.
Exactly.
That inner
and you succeeded 100%. 100%.
This is, so yes, art, I think that it's a mirror of a society. And the artists have that skill, and they love to do that in a raw way, in a more lyrical way. Everyone finds its own way to do it. But I appreciate this honesty in the arts. This is what I like in the arts, honesty. And I think that this honesty is also what makes an artwork a good artwork. It's not about beautiful, ugly, good, bad. I think that honesty makes an artwork really unique.
Yes.
So, yes, I think that artists can motivate the society. And art is very connected with the creator. It's not separated. In the sense that, you have a good artwork, but with also a very inspireful artist, this creates, something much bigger and can influence the world.
Absolutely. I think honesty is something that is maybe I would even say authenticity. Somebody's to just be honest in your own perception of things, right?
Yes,
not
exactly.
in the sense that it's truth, not in the sense that it is better than anything else, not in the sense that I know and you don't, but in the sense of, this is my perception. Take it or leave it. It's an offering. It's an offering. And I think that is what art is. And in the many voices of art, this is where the beauty lies.
And it reminds also, feelings that maybe someone has forgotten, about laughing, about, crying, or think more of something, or being more sensitive on something. There are so many emotions, and art has that ability to express that, to remind, to recall, to bring back a very past memory, to see something from the future, and help the audience to project what they want from their lives, how they would like to react the next time in something, how they would if they would like really to be more supportive to the refugees, for example, to be more open to the difference every individual has, and everyone is unique. Yeah, I think that emotions are very important in our days.
Yes. Maybe even offering a choice that maybe some people didn't know that they had before the time,
Yes, definitely different perspectives on the things.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely the beauty of it.
Faced with thousands of opportunities and possibilities. And again, I think that art can work as a mirror, that this is possible. This also exists. It's not only what you know already. There are so many possibilities and perspectives and
Oh, I
choices.
like that. I like that very much. Art and being an exploration of possibilities. I think I like that very, very much. That's very strong to me. That's really what it is. It's an exploration of possibilities. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
I think
you take it or you leave it.
yeah, exactly. It's not truth, It's not. This is what it is. This is what the world is. This is a possibility, and if you like this possibility, you can take it. If you don't, you leave it. It's an offering, and I think that's the actual the wonderful beauty of it. Yes.
Yes, and also, I'm trying this to do also at the festival, Saristra Festival. I'm doing with some friends. For me, it's
I will link to
important.
that, by the way, just quickly as well, because it's a beautiful festival, one of the most beautiful Greek islands. And if you have a chance, go and check it out. Yes. Now, please continue.
Yes, for me, it's important to make other people to be more creative. It doesn't have to be
Yes.
always, connected to the arts. Creativity gets in everything. In a small collection, in your business, in your I don't know, something that you in sports, but to have that spirit of creativity, and arts definitely do that. They give inspiration for creativity in everything in life.
And it's also showing you, going back to those possibilities, the myriad of possibilities that you have, but then really kind of making a choice on also the aesthetic value of the things, like personally aesthetic values. And I think the Saristra Festival, to be honest with you, I haven't been once. And I definitely want to go next year when it is on, because this year, right, it got cancelled because of COVID-19 as well.
Yes, it's sad. I'm sad that it's not happening.
Yes. So you're actually also a victim in that sense. A victim, okay? That's but you are also, at the receiving end. Let me put it this way, of the Corona crisis, right?
Yeah. No, next year is going to be very good. It's going to be fantastic.
I'm going.
And,
I'm going to be there
because it has. Yes, you should come.
I'm coming. I'm just saying. I'm coming. I'm there. Just really, I'm there.
And this is what it's. Of course, you want to make people think. To see some art that they will really like it. But I've seen through the festival that change. That creative change, especially in the local community of the island. And for me, that's, it makes me so happy.
Yes.
So happy that it has an impact, especially on the locals.
Yes, of course. This totally ties in with what we said about, making a change in your immediate environment. That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
So, for everybody, I am just saying, go to Cephalonia, a very beautiful island, a very beautiful festival with amazing acts and just really, how long is it? 3 days? Something like that? 3 days, right?
It's music and arts, 2
Yes.
stages of music, and a whole abandoned, ruined village. It's full of arts, exhibitions, performances, lectures, workshops. Yes, it's really magical.
It is magical. Like I said, I'm going next year. I haven't been yet, unfortunately, but it is just knowing the island, knowing you, Olga. It is, and having seen some videos. To be honest, it's not like I haven't seen anything. It is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful festival. I'm going, so if you have time next year, August, go there, check it out. It will definitely be worth your time. It's
The real
wonderful.
experience is beyond any video, I think.
No, I am sure it is. I'm sure it is.
It's really one of those festivals that the experience, it's really what makes it special.
Yes, very much. Very much. But then, it's again me and my Greek home basically. I just love Greece and for all that it stands for, even with its imperfections that I accept and love equally.
We love
So well, I think this is a perfect moment. Sorry?
We want you here with Vicky.
Just we will be back. I mean, come on, we'll be back. It's home. It's really home. I spoke to Vicky's mom today. We spoke to Vicky's mom today. We had a messenger call and everything. I miss it like mad. I really do. Right now I'm in Germany, and working here, but I just miss it like mad. Like
Yeah.
δεν είναι καλοκαίρι χωρίς Ελλάδα. Η
And
Ελλάδα.
that's
Yes.
summer. Very unique.
It is
But
just wonderful.
because of the COVID, it's also that weird feeling that traveling it's difficult somehow.
Yes.
Difficult, tiring, it feels difficult, complicated, and it's so weird, especially for people who travel a lot.
Yes. I know I can relate as well because I've also been doing a lot of traveling, and I haven't flown in 3-4 months now, ever since March. I think that alone is a bit of a challenge, and a bit of a challenge is probably an understatement. But traveling just feels weird now. I know it just feels weird. Something you shouldn't be doing unless it really is absolutely necessary, right?
Exactly.
No.
It's very weird.
Well,
yeah, I'm wondering how it's going to feel again traveling in the future.
I don't know. This is maybe the new normal that everybody's speaking about, the new normal. I think that's kind of like one of the terms of 2020. I think it's definitely running for the winner.
And photography. Everybody will be influenced, but I'm also, curious to see how it's going to influence photography.
Yes. Well, I do work for this. I don't work. I have this agency that also sells my images, and I can just see that a lot of the images now really that they tie in with that, and I think it definitely changes a little bit of the visual representation, visual what do you call it? The visual stock, so to say.
Yes, definitely.
No, we will see. So, but then at the same time, change is the only thing that is constant in life, and this is one of those changes, I suppose, and we will see what happens at the end. And this is why it's so so interesting to explore what is happening. And I also do believe that change is happening all the time. And this is how life really operates generally. Change is the bottom line of life itself. I think it's only us humans that try and, find some sort of, steady things, some sort of, security. That's not what life is. Life is change.
Yes.
Bottom line. And it's just us that have to deal with that change and try to maintain the illusion that we can project our lives into the future. I think that's not what life is about at all. And so now COVID-19 is just, one of those many things that mean change for us, and we have to cope with it. And then we have to see what comes out at the end based on our collective decisions.
Very well said. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's all the ouzo and the water. It just brings out the best in me, apparently. Who says that alcohol is not a solution? They just don't know what they're talking about, right? I think that's a great line to finish this, advocating alcoholism.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
So did I. Very, very much. And I thank you very much for taking the time. We're going strongly towards 2.5 hours now. I mean, that says it all. Like, thank you so much, Olga, for taking all this time to talk to me.
No, it was
a
really
pleasure.
nice. I really enjoyed.
I'm very, very glad you did. So did I. And yes, so I hope we will have this sometime again soon. And it was a great pleasure.
So together in person.
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait to see you in Athens finally. If you once you're there,
continue our discussions.
Exactly, absolutely. Even though it's more like a conversation and a dialogue than a discussion, in my eyes. But so have a wonderful weekend, and it was very nice to have you on board of the yellow van. And
I really like this new project. Good luck.
Good luck with that.
And I really love also the name.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah. Where is the van? Is it in Greece?
Yeah, it actually is. It's in Greece and it's out of battery. I can't even start it. I have to fix it, to be honest with you. But I think that's kind of very symbolic because, because of the whole Corona crisis and everything is kind of stationary. Not even Fonzie is moving right now. So it's like, I think it makes total sense. It makes total sense.
No, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant project, I think.
Thank you so much.
The podcast, the whole idea.
Thank you very, very much, Olga. Really, I really had such a good time with you. And this marks the end of this week's episode of the Yellow Van Stories. All information about Olga and her beautiful work you can find in the show notes, along with the relevant links to today's conversation. Thank you very much for coming along on the Yellow Van today. We hope you enjoyed your ride. If you want to support Fonzie with a bit of petrol money, you can do so on patreon.com/Yellowvan Stories. If you have your own inspiring story to tell, or you know somebody who does, get in touch with us on www.yellowvanstories.com, where you can also leave us your general feedback or ideas for improvements. The hashtags for the show, Learning on the Job and Stronger Together, are no coincidence. We hope to welcome you back next week for a brand new episode. We'll be keeping your seat and we'll be cooling that imaginary drink of your choice. Please note, a selection of teas and instant coffee is available as well, of course. Until then, stay healthy, keep loving, and always remember, we're all in this together. Take it away, Jim.